already know I'm getting right into it. I'm gonna talk directly like that. And they'll look at Archie in the back. Wait. Hold on. We can fix the background to make it look a little bit better. I'm about to get you. How many settle all my lawsuits? See that, man? It's the, you know when the, you know, because you do whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. None of y'all know. Oh wait, I should have to Twitter. No, it's important. No, it's actually important. Like if there's anybody who cares anything about sports, there you go. Still live. Discord into. Okay. There we go. Hey, maybe I oughta step up to the mic here. You know, my voice may not be heard today or tomorrow, but maybe in the future, I can look at and react to some things, which is, I think, what I kind of want to do. You gotta keep me on track here. Don't want to really have to worry too much about editing it, and there is a small chance that someone will want to come into the live stream and say hi during this whole ordeal. You know, it's not necessarily the thing I do here currently, which I actually do have a channel dedicated to just sports, but I've been doing a lot of live streams here, so I might as well keep on posting everything to where I know the most people could see. Right? Bro, what are we even talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what anyone's talking about, but I got to what I'm actually talking about. You can see I got ASU stuff on it. I think maybe we should, I personally should start with the whole Pac-12 and football in the Pac-12 as a whole situation, the whole big thing in the title, the actual reason why anybody at all clicked on the title, looked at it. Again, it's not exactly my community at the moment, right? You know, it's usually a bunch of squids roaming around the ocean right now, as far as my community is concerned. They're in shambles, okay? Alright, they're the Titanic. They hit the iceberg, they have now sunk. But I said I was supposed to be talking about good news. Good news as it implies to Arizona. As it applies to Arizona sports. Good news that people that actually kind of care about. Whoa. Care about? Seriously? Care about if the team is winning. Oh, there we go. If the team is winning, they'll care about it. Am I right? One viewer that showed up. You know darn well I'm talking sports. It says it in the title. But please go ahead and ask. I beg you, please go ahead and ask. What do you mean? What even is the Pac-12? The Pac-12 is a representative group of a bunch of different universities, including, Arizona State, which, just kind of happens to be sandwiched into this nightmare, okay? And we are going to make way and escape through the hope and possibly our hero Kenny Dillingham, and therefore play better football. Now, it's worth mentioning that maybe if the rest of the United States and Arizona and the surrounding states who are neutral bodies who actually watch Arizona sports because they don't have any other sports like New Mexico, but they all have college sports. So states like Utah aren't going to root for Arizona State; they're going to root for Utah. Colorado, etc. You know, um, and which is kind of the big deal. I think for a huge, absurd, overbearing populace, and a lot of them are really connected to a bunch of Juan. Different Juan or the same Juan? The one I'm thinking about? Yeah, of course I love basketball. I'm a baller. I got a ball. I want a ball in a second. You're gonna have to sit and listen to me talk ball. I'm talking a different ball. Look, I got a ball. Like, I'll show you the ball. I have a ball for each type of sport that I could talk about, and then I can get another ball and be like, look, we're talking about this one now, and well, this is the one we're talking about. We're talking about football mainly. But I want to be the football talk guy because like football is like the biggest thing, and I want to encourage young people to get interested in other sports and probably actually play them. Like my favorite football team, by default it's the Cardinals. We're talking Arizona sports, so technically by default it's the Cardinals. Also, they're their original football team, right? But we don't talk about it like that because, well, sometimes it's best to think that Arizona never got a football team in the first place. I think we'd be perfectly fine with the Suns and the Diamondbacks, and we'll see what happens with the hockey team. I don't even think people outside of Arizona even know. There's people that live in Arizona currently that probably don't even know we have a hockey team. There's no ice here. There's no ice here. Well, there is, but they don't play. The hockey team doesn't play where there is ice. There's a chance that there is ice. We're talking football, specifically Pacific. What is it? What is the PAC actually stand? Pacific. Something conference. Pacific Athletic Conference. Pacific Northwest to the Southwest in Arizona Conference. Yeah, I live in Arizona. Yeah. Yeah, we're talking in sports in a market where not a lot of people wanna, really care. But doesn't it say so on the live stream though? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Ask questions, please. I always get sidetracked and lose what I'm talking about. But yeah, so apparently Colorado's already making way for the Big 12, and maybe Arizona and Arizona State can kind of go to the Big 12 as a pack. Oh, that's what I'm looking for, honestly. So when we're talking good news, I'm also talking like, bro, Abraham did not say aloha. Or was that Abraham who was in the stream that I didn't even know it was Abraham the whole time, and he was actually joking with me the whole time? No, no, it was like Abraham for like 2 seconds. No, the guy who's someone completely different. But I think I know who you're talking about now. No, I don't. That's not even possible. Okay, anyway. Can I see words? Thank you. Gotta think. Yeah, all the good, big, actually notable teams are leaving the Pacific Athletic Conference and moving to the XL large 10, the bigger money, bigger deal, Big 10, and the Big 12, bigger money, bigger deal 12, and the bankrupt PAC 12. Do you think the Denver Millers were supposed to win the championship? Don't strike the nerve of me. Yes, they were supposed to win the championship. They got past the Suns. Of course they're supposed to win the championship. And we all know that Western Conference Finals was really just the second round. Right? The winner of the Suns and Nuggets series was ultimately going to be the team to go to the finals and win the thing. I mean, it would have given the Heat a better chance if it was the Suns, I guess. But I have a feeling if the Suns actually got past the Nuggets, then there was no way anyone was going to be able to stop them. No, I don't. They also have to play the Suns a lot. And I'm not saying that completely like I'm biased to the Suns. I'm saying that I'm not saying that as someone who's completely totally biased on the Suns, and I am. I'm saying that because how do I put this? The rest of the nation that follows basketball as a whole thinks that the Suns somehow found a way to insert a cheat code into the system to quite literally create a super team out of thin air when there was not supposed to be a way to have a super team, and yet here we are with a super team. Like this is literally almost a dream team. Like assuming that DeAndre Ayton. I say that assuming if DeAndre Ayton, barring DeAndre Ayton being actually good, the Suns will be completely, totally unstoppable, possibly going for NBA all-time records and wins, possibly challenging the Golden State Warriors record in wins all time. Is it smart for them to actually legitimately try to push for that in the regular season? No, it's not. But then again, is it smart for them to try to load manage too much? Probably not either. I don't think I want to see them load manage too much. But people gotta stop thinking about basketball and load management and start watching college basketball where there is no load management. Start getting more into college sports, man. Look at the place where you generally kind of want to go to school, or want to eventually transfer to go to school there, and ASU's not really quite the place as it used to be, but if I was given the ability, given the chance to actually play basketball at ASU, Bobby Hurley, I have a lot of respect for Bobby Hurley. Haven't saying you were a part of the, huh? Abraham, how are you talking? Are you talking to Abraham on the phone right now? Could you call? Oh, you better not call. I could answer the call, but it just be in both of our interests, in the interests of people tuning into this live stream in particular, which I want to keep more about sports related things. That I'm going to then end and then start a new one that I can talk about whatever. But now that we're on the topic of the Suns and topic of basketball, I think it's kind of crazy how the Suns managed to pull off a super team, even though the era of super teams was supposed to be dead and over. But it was like it was literally genius because like there was a point in time apparently when it was the wild west of finding wild west of kind of like there's some loopholes within the system, which are what within the rules of what you're allowed to do to make trades and sign players and stuff like that. To be eligible for a trade. And you could say maybe we even got lucky or something like that, to have the team that we have. We got plenty of bodies to put on Jokic now, you know what I mean? And we have options just in case DeAndre doesn't work out. I'm sure we can work something out just in case DeAndre doesn't work out, like halfway into the season or something. But I think we set up a really good game plan and coaching staff to where I think Ayton will finally end up working out. And he's going to have to, because otherwise he's going to be not on any basketball team at all for a long time. And what else is Abraham saying? Or did you leave, Juan? I know who you are. I know who you work for. Right, Juan? Should I go back to talking about football? This is a nice football. This is a generally pretty good football. I mean, it's worn a little bit, but it's literally a game football. Like, it's supposed to be out on the field. It was not really ransacked, but it was given to one of my friends who played for the Sun Devils for the recreational use of punting it as hard as possible. And as far as the Sun Devils football team is concerned, and as far as the Pac-12 is concerned, I can care jack diddly less. I'm talking good news here, okay? I think they're going to be good. And I think the basketball, I can't go get the basketball. I don't want to go up. I'm going up and getting the basketball. I think Bobby Hurley has got the Sun Devils basketball team in a good place. And I think anyone who has any interest in basketball whatsoever should probably consider watching some college basketball, because I think they give a lot more, especially in the regular season, while playing basketball. Because they give a lot more, because it means that they have a chance to be in the NBA. A chance to be in the NBA, a once in a lifetime opportunity. So you gotta play a lot harder. And then once you get the NBA, there's all the, for a lot of guys, it's this feeling of, oh, I kind of made it, And then when you get paid, it's like, oh man, I must have really made it, So. I think there's a lot more guys that need to watch more college basketball, a lot more kids that need to watch college basketball. You realize you gotta play like you're off. You gotta constantly play like you're trying to make the team. That was Juan's gone. Thank you, Juan, for joining us. I wanna play and react to, and thank anyone for joining the stream at any point in time. I want to play and react to this clip. It's not exactly a clip that I thought, but it's about the Arizona Cardinals. I guess we'll switch from basketball Pac-12, college to football, from college football to basketball, back to college football, a little bit to now football, NFL football. The football that people care about. The 130 or so million football fans, or 20 or so million football fans out there that only specifically watch football. Maybe if I can just get like one or two of them at a time, slowly build up this community of fans of all sports in general. Because think about it, there's, clearly a huge difference in football. We're just get the okay, the guy's gonna say a thing, and I'm gonna be like, wow, that guy said that thing, and this is how I feel. Right? It's literally reaction to that. I mean, like people would literally pay to see this. I mean, not really. I mean, it's only 393 views, which is sad because it's Arizona Sports, dude. It's their official channel. Like, someone's gonna watch this stuff. Yeah, Buddha's that guy. Yeah, you're right. He's that guy. He's got the dog in him. Okay, I don't actually care too much about Kylo. I actually specifically care more about Buddha. Because he just got paid like he should have gotten paid a long time ago. Don't know why they delayed it for so long. It's only Cardinal worthy of getting paid. Well, a lot of these guys we're talking about, or a lot of these, a lot of these things we're talking about. D-backs traded for the best player in baseball, etc., etc. I can go ahead and confidently say that I don't think Shohei Ohtani's going anywhere. I don't think Angels fans have to be worried about anything. I'm just going through YouTube because I figure there's got to be something online in college football about the... Do I care? Do I care about Colorado leaving? I don't really care. I don't think the Pac-12 even cares about Colorado leaving. I still don't think the Pac-12 is going to be in a good place at all whatsoever. But transfer portal booms, impacts. Yeah. Pac-12 is a legit opportunity to play them. They actually do have an opportunity to appear Now, I can, before I even watch this video or even look at this video, or maybe is the Pac-12 a legit opportunity to appear in the playoff, right? That's what the title of the video is going to be, at least this year. I mean, I'd kind of hope so. I mean, I kind of see what they have to say. I didn't care about the ad, bro. It's not. That's. I don't even have my. I don't know where my remote ran off to, but I can't just turn it down. I can turn on the TV. I look at the Pac-12 and I think there are 4 teams. Okay, let's just kind of skim through this. Just skim through this. But just go ahead and skim through this and see if what I think he's gonna say is what he says. Well, the conference always go, okay, as a reaction type of person doing reactionary type of content here, maybe that's what I should just call this, reactionary type of content. It's always dog eat dog. That's the problem with the Pac-12. There's always got to be one team that you can't have a 10 win or 11 win team in the Pac. You have to be undefeated in the Pac-12, and it's still like, oh, but they only won this one game to this Pac-12 opponent. Like they think like it's like the Pac-12 is like literally just a grade school like opponent. So when you win one game by like a close margin, you actually lost, and and that's why the Pac-12 struggles to get into the playoff with the current system. Um, and a large list of other things. But continue with your.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a league out worse from Washington than the Pac-12. That hasn't happened in a long time, and unfortunately, it's the last chance we're going to get to see a lot of these matchups with USC and
Last
UCLA.
chance, yeah. Well, unless it
And
saves them.
unfortunately, one of the reasons we're leaving is
Unless, is
because
there any possibility where they can actually, like, can the organizations from within the Pac-12 this year, some way, somehow, figure out a way to all be good going into the Pac-12 season? And I guess we could look at the schedule somehow, if that's a possibility. Or I guess I could pause the live stream. But it's possible that this man's got Arizona State behind him. I think he's discounting Arizona State a little bit, and I can talk about that. I can talk about that in a minute after I'm done watching this because I kind of care about this because it's kind of part of our freaking title. Like, kind of implied the care. I mean, I know no one's watching currently because I'm talking about sports, and again, my community at the time, right now, are where it stands. There's not a lot of people that care about sports within my general audience, but subject to change. And I could see how well it actually works on the channel or works being shared over to Twitter, etc., etc. I think the ratings will go up, right, if all the teams are actually good to the point where a playoff or a nice, decent bowl game, a somewhat respectable bowl game, is an opportunity, and all the teams are competing with each other to get to the actual championship and act and for the first time maybe in a while they could have a legitimate contender for the college football championship, which I think should have been expanded upon to, I don't know, maybe help everybody out. I think it's a lot better and it looks a lot better in general to give the little guys, or I guess in this case the Pac 12, a chance that would just, actually give them more opportunities to not have to literally rely on like charity pretty much almost within the organizations in the universities. Basketball. But I really care a lot about basketball, and as a big fan of I'm gonna switch this around. As a big fan of basketball, I am watching Bobby Hurley's Sun Devils become a legitimate contender for a championship, possibly, a legitimate contender to again and again and again show up in the March Madness tournament, which is how you become a contender for the championship in the first place. He said he's back, and I'm so tired, but here. Hi there, welcome in. I'm gonna talk your head off about sport. I'm gonna talk your head off about sports. But sometimes end up, I sometimes end up, like, people, like, is the meeting for pickleball? No, well, I'm reacting to this whole big situation. I can explain what's going on after, like, I mean, dissect this and check this out.
is I hope we get to see a lot of these matchups on TV. You just mentioned those four teams, and here's the great thing: they all four have quarterbacks. They all four have veteran quarterbacks, experienced quarterbacks that know how to win. They have the
Okay,
ring
yeah, I
post.
don't really care about the quarterbacks, honestly. Like, you can throw the word quarterback in there. I don't
That
really
can
care.
cause problems. I think it is going to be the most exciting league with offense, quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks that can win, great teams, and everybody's playing each other.
And I grew up out there. I grew up in Scottsdale. Obviously, went to Arizona State. You see the helmets up here. So I grew up in this conference. And for me, it was always about growing up. It was a USC league.
Yep.
It always has
Uh-huh.
been. Washington was always another team that would contend for
But
Pac-12 title.
if people who are invested in the sports actually cared more about the other sports like basketball and baseball, so on and so like this whole look at me, look at me, look at me. I know you're not here. Sorry. All right, look here. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Again, if we can find a way to infiltrate and somehow hypnotize people to like other sports that aren't just football, then just maybe. Like, what if basketball was the actual biggest sport and the sport that everyone was talking about all the time? Like, they're talking about football within the United States, right? Or what if basketball was like, and I say basketball because I like to play basketball a lot more. I think I thoroughly enjoy playing basketball when I play football and stuff like that. And it's hard to get a big group together for football, but for basketball, you can have like 1-on-1, 2-on-2, Whereas football, you kind of have to have at least like 5-on-5 ish for it to be kind of fun. Not the point. If we lived in a world where basketball, right, was at the forefront of everyone's agenda to watch for the sport to watch, and football was like kind of on the sidelines in the United States, then the Pac-12 would actually be, I mean, not too high on the radar, not too, but like they wouldn't be like suffering. Like they still would have UCLA and U of A, and that can kind of carry a lot as far as that's concerned. You know, and basketball, and the reason why I want Arizona State to go to the Big 12 with U of A is because of actually basketball. Because if you don't know, if you're not unaware, completely oblivious, and uneducated, the Big 12 is not really a football conference as much as it is, well, holy crap, they got some good basketball. And if, and Arizona State has blatantly beaten Kansas in their faces, get wrecked, sorry, not sorry, caught them, I guess caught them thinking, um, and we also sent one of our best players over to Kansas so he can win the championship for Kansas when he, I guess, only had like one real solid, actually good opportunity left to, win a championship, which kind of sucks because now if he was here now, we might have gone a little further in the tournament. And, well, anyway, that's not that stats on anything. Um, but with the prior experience in Arizona State playing Kansas. Imagine if they got to play, as talking about basketball here, even in football. I think that'd be pretty cool because like they're kind of two teams that are they're two schools where their football teams are on the rise. Um, Whereas you kind of bounce back actually quite quickly, and Kansas is now finally slowly kind of inclining and climbing the mountain to possibly contend for a playoff spot in the future. In my opinion, from what I've seen out of Kansas football last year, and I was actually really excited to see that out of Kansas football last year because it brightens up the whole entire college football scene when a team like Cincinnati can be in the playoffs, or then prove that the little guys can do it too, and when a team like you know when a team like I don't know, UCF can do what they did, or a team like TCU can take the world by storm, stuff like that, to really kind of cement this idea that it's not just an SEC ran and operated world as far as football is concerned. I mean, it still kind of is. I mean, they're the big dogs on the block, and it's not just I guess the Big Ten. It's really, it's not just a two conference race as far as football is concerned. But as far as basketball is concerned, I mean, is it? I mean, unless we're talking about like the Big East, or is Gonzaga's the Mountain West, right? But they're gonna look to be in. They're gonna look to be in the Big 12. There's a time where I heard that Gonzaga was also looking to be in the Big 12 just so they can have the most scrumdiddlyumptious, ridiculous media agreement for like Big 12 basketball, college basketball like you've never seen before, with U of A as well, and ASU on the rise, and that whole rivalry, and Gonzaga as well. And it's like, and then you see that Oklahoma State's kind of been flirting with the possibility of actually being good, or West Virginia from time to time. Virginia's always kind of around. Kansas obviously. And you kind of see that scene in basketball for the Big 12, be like, whoa, like that can actually kind of inflate the revenue, move the meter. Add U of A to that big list of powerhouses of basketball. Baylor in the last few years, stuff like that they got down in the Big 12. TCU, rest in peace. I can't believe that's how Arizona State's basketball hopes were crushed, or championship hopes were crushed by the hands of TCU in a last second shot to beat us. And moving on, let's talk about the legit opportunity for the Pac-12 to be in the playoff. But I think they're kind of going somewhere, but I think they're going to cannibalize themselves once again. And I think ASU is actually going to be on, because here's what I don't foresee in the future. I'll just let them.
I was even back in the day under Don James, Steve Atman, those guys. They were playing for national titles. It was always a USC league. UCLA was really good coming up, Cade McNown in that era. But it seems to me, and this is the one thing I don't like, and I stick up for the conference all the time. When Southern football exploded nationally, And I say that because, Dan, you know this. Back in the day, college football was Miami, it was Nebraska, it was Notre Dame, and it was USC. That was it.
Yeah.
But when Southern football exploded and the SEC just took into this national behemoth, it was almost as if we as a college football consciousness forgot how much good football is played out west. I mean, listen to this right now. Bo Nix. You just
And
mentioned
now imagine
him.
if people
quarterback's
cared
coming
equally
back.
about
Michael
basketball
Penix Jr.,
and
Caleb
baseball
Williams.
as well.
You know, it seemed as if some of these guys, Cam Rising at Utah.
Because there's a lot more competition. Where if it's just football that we're talking about, there's technically a lot less competition. If we're talking about baseball, and we bring basketball in the mix, and we bring hockey into the mix, and we bring soccer into the mix, and even rugby or whatever into the mix, which I think if people are interested in football as much as they are, I don't see why being interested in rugby could be any different, you know. Technically speaking, I think it's uncomfortable and new, but it's football with a lot more running. That's really all it is, sort of. And, you know, you have to actually make open field tackles, stuff like that.
DJ, I mean, this is a league that I think deserves the same amount of attention, if not for the time zone.
It does, and you said it. I mean, Michael Penix,
But
watch that Washington
that
offense.
live out west
2,000-yard
are the only people who watch.
Bo Nix with the top running backs all
But
coming
the only
back
problem
in
is
that
with
offense.
the whole idea of the people that live out west and the people that watch. There's just a lot of people that live out west. There's a lot of people. It's not like the old days anymore, okay? Like back in, you know, the 60s or whatever, when California and LA, like when LA and San Francisco and all those little cities in California, you know, like back in the days where Arizona and parts of Texas were still a wild west and stuff like that, you know, and settling down and having a university and starting up a whole city and everything was still a really big deal. And shut up. Give it the times, man. Like, why would times, like, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. Thanks to streaming apps and streaming services and things like YouTube TV, which is literally just, I'm not gonna sit here on YouTube streaming, advertising YouTube TV, but if I could afford it, I would so gladly, obviously, take it. Or in the future, if I was sponsored, I would so gladly, obviously, take the opportunity to tell people about YouTube TV in a sponsored ad, telling people about how great YouTube TV was. But even during my free trial of YouTube TV, I could say, like, it would be worth the money to have YouTube TV. And it's like month to month, you know what I mean? It's like month to month, or technically year to year, depends on how you want to, spend your money. Where am I going with this? TV contracts, stuff like that. Like, if a lot of them could just switch to having some permanent a lot of these Pac-12 schools could just go ahead and switch to having some sort of permanent place set up on YouTube TV and stream over there or something like that. I know it's not going to generate a lot of revenue or whatever, but it's actually a hunk of baloney, because if they can find a way to work specifically through YouTube TV or something like that, then maybe they can work and find a way to have a lot of everything streamlined and suggested. like just for free, just for extra, just for like the little bit extra money going to um, the Pac-12, having like highlights and podcasts and things like that they could do, talk shows on YouTube and with YouTube in conjunction with YouTube TV for the games that, well, it's ASU and they're playing, I don't know, Washington. I say Washington because I think Washington State's going to be better this year than Washington. Or if they're playing, I don't know who we're playing. Who are we playing this year? Like the first game against like Utah Southern or whatever. It's like the games that like that like that's the great thing about ASU's current state is that they're usually good enough at finding a way to sneak their way into these big games that actually have some sort of meaning. They have that but boom, that wow factor of like, but that is that's why we talked about earlier how like unless the Pac-12 cannibal, it's kind of cannibal and like they have the opportunity because they'll have less competition. They have an opportunity to actually make a way and probably have a legit contender with the talent that's in the Pac-12 right now. And if the upgrades, maybe upgrades as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, right? However, it always happens. Pac-12 always cannibalizes on itself. It always happens. All the time. Always. And it's not like it's professional. It's not like it's professional sports where your record is your record and you're in and you're in and that's it. That's final. The end. It's college sports. So only if you were just playing SEC teams and you were in the SEC would you then be able, as far as football is concerned, to even have a chance with your. But since you were playing Pac-12 teams and you slipped up in the beginning of the season and you weren't a complete team, I just so it's just like, and I know it's gonna happen, and I know it's gonna happen, and you know why I know it's gonna happen? Because every year, a team like ASU, who normally I am rooting for, and I still am rooting for, but it's either a team like ASU goes undefeated, which I don't see that happening. But what I do see happening is they go 10-2, and then we beat like, and then but we lost to Colorado or Utah later in the season. But we beat USC and UCLA and U of A, right? We beat UCLA, and we beat Oklahoma State too. And I'm assuming Oklahoma State's gonna do pretty good and actually kind of, like I said, it's just so. And we'll probably be 3-0. Like, and we got Fresno. I mean, Fresno's not too bad. Fresno's not too bad. Like Oklahoma State's like the big one, and I feel like the big one should be. I just hate thinking about strength of schedule. It's like, it almost got us. It almost got us that one win in that one game. We were sitting on the edge of our seats, thinking that we won't be able to be in a 64 team tournament. And then we whooped Nevada's butts, and we said to everybody. We so easily deserve to be in a 64 team tournament. This is a 4-team tournament that should by now already be like a 12 team or whatever larger expanded team tournament, a wild card scenario type of team tournament in the first place. So these other bowl games that are completely, totally meaningless. There's 2 big New Year's 6 bowls that are completely, totally meaningless. That is only in the football. It's not just the Pac-12's fault as well. That's what I'm also trying to convey here. And we talked a lot about football. We talked a lot about the Pac-12, and I'm going to have to go another hour talking about basketball and baseball. That's right. Baseball. Because we got a good baseball team. Seriously. Seriously. Hello? I mean, we're kind of struggling now, but we'll talk about it later. I'm actually getting really into this thing.
I mean, it is. Caleb Williams is, college football's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he makes magic things happen.
Well, Patrick
out there on
Mahomes
the
was
field.
college football Patrick
And then
Mahomes
Cam Rising's just
4 years ago.
right?
So
I mean,
That's
you watch Utah, and they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be physical. Coach Witt on the sidelines.
Utah, I
it
think
just
Utah.
looks like,
A big game between Utah and ASU is probably coming
out
in
of the Wasatch
the
Mountains
future
to coach this team, right?
to determine the Pac-12 South.
And their quarterback is just this tough guy.
I think Arizona
that
State's a dark
comes in. They
horse,
play,
but
it is
always a dark
I
horse,
can't
and
wait
they're never
to
gonna
see,
actually.
and
Like,
I
it's
think
always
the country,
they
the
find a
thing that
way
you and
to
I get on a lot of Saturday nights.
Man, well, if they had gone undefeated,
is
they'd be in the
we're doing,
playoffs.
we're rapping, we're watching, we're there for the 10:30 Pac-10
There's no way
game,
I'm hurt about
Pac-12
any
game. I'm
missing
sorry,
the
week.
playoffs.
And that
Any
is
point.
this year. I can't wait to see all the potential matches. I mean, you tell me I can't wait to see USC Washington, Oregon Washington, Utah Oregon. I mean, it's going to be week after week.
We're not really for the last time.
Top
They're still
25
gonna.
matches.
That's another
It's
thing.
going to
Is like
start.
we'll still have a good
this year for
strength
that
of
league
schedule.
is going to look like
Saying
SEC
that we're playing a
where
Big Ten
they're going to
team
have
or
every week
or
at least
a Big
1 to
12
2
team at least once every
top
4
25
years.
teams playing each other in the league.
But I think we'll be a Big 12 team as well.
You beat me to it because other than the SEC, which we know with the Georgia, Alabamas, LSU's, and everybody in between Tennessee, we know obviously that league is stacked, Ole Miss, but you can't find me another league. Like, all due respect to the Big Ten, it's Michigan, Ohio State,
I also think
sometimes
SEC
Penn
still
State,
just top half.
maybe Michigan State here and there. That's
It's
it.
really just,
The ACC
it's
is
really just
Clemson,
Alabama,
Florida
and,
State's
like,
coming back. We hope Miami comes back.
Tennessee.
That's
maybe,
about it
or
for them. The Big 12 is
Georgia, Alabama,
cyclical. We've
Georgia,
seen
and
Baylor
maybe
get up in there. We've seen Kansas State get up in
whoever
there.
has
TCU made the
the
playoff,
balls
but
to be
I
Alabama.
can't think of another league, as you mentioned, when you go
Which was
depth-wise.
Tennessee last year.
4 legitimate top 15 teams
Yeah,
in my
it's
estimation.
passes.
Oregon State is a tough out. Even Washington State's been a tough out. UCLA is a tough out.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona under Jed Fish is trying to come up and get you. And then Arizona State made the hire with Kenny Dillingham. Deion Sanders in Colorado, I don't think they're going to be any good, but
Well, I mean, that's another story and excitement. I
Right.
mean, it is like you see it, you mention it, like SEC. Everybody, what Georgia game are you excited to see this year? Because you look at their schedule; they're not playing any of the other top dogs in the league this year. You go through this year's SEC schedule and just how it's lined up.
So you're trying to say that
I mean, you have
there's a
the
possibility
Florida Georgia
that
game
only
will
one
be right.
team
It's
from the
always a
SEC
great one
will
because
make
it's
it?
a traditional rivalry game. You're gonna have the Alabama LSU
Or-
game's gonna be exciting this year.
Well,
But
team.
there's gonna be some knockoffs and some other good games and some tough ones. But
Yeah. So what you're saying is that there's a window of opportunity for this 1 year that if the Pac-12 want to save some face, maybe the football teams within it can try to come together and all have a decently good enough year where their ratings actually move the meter enough to, or maybe it'll be too little too late though. Even if they somehow manage even if a Pac-12 team somehow makes it to the playoffs and manages to win the championship, probably be too little, too late. But if they expanded the playoff, then there'd be yet another game that would just boost the ratings and make everyone actually pay attention to Pac-12 football for at least one game. But it'd be a big deal. Or at least another 3 hours. Alrighty. I don't even know where we're going with this. I'm watching highlight. Can we do this? This is not allowed. I don't think this is allowed. NBA, NBA. I don't think it's allowed to. NFL. Anything about the Cardinals? No, I have like a little more hope for the Cardinals, but not too much more hope. Ever since they paid Buda Baker, I was like, okay, that looks a little bit better. I mean, but I'm not too ecstatic for the Cardinals. I think a lot of people are trying to like pretend like a lot of people are fooling themselves with the Cardinals, whereas I think with the Sun Devils you actually should do yourself a favor, and like maybe get a little more invested and don't say that you were invested the whole time when you really weren't. And it's plain and simple. I mean, you can listen to like an interview, right? Or that would not be in 24/7 Arizona. I mean, there's some good players still kind of here, and then there's some, Elijah Badger. Remember how good Elijah Badger is? He's still here, right? Running back. Always got a good running back. I mean, when you think the other running back's bad, like here's the mindset you gotta have. You got as far as Arizona State running backs, you think the other running back's bad, or were they really just waiting behind Benderman or Rashawn White or some of the legendary running backs that we've had in the past? When you think the receiver's bad, it's like, well, were they just sitting behind Jalen Strong and other legendary receivers that we've also had in the past, DJ Foster, etc., etc. Like some serious, like legitimately, eye-popping good players. I'm excited for the linebackers though. It actually seemed like we found some transfers and made up in the linebacker room for a big hole because it was our best position last year, and I think he's still on the team too. I thought one of them was going to NFL, or the cornerback maybe, or safety. Maybe it was a safety from Arizona. I forgot. There's like one player from Arizona State that went to the NFL in the draft. I drafted. I forgot who it was. I guess we gotta move on to what time is it? Talking baseball. I guess we'll talk shortly about baseball because most of my title was mostly focused on Pac-12 and still good news. That's how we're not talking like a lot, right? We already did talk a lot. I guess I could set up to what I want to do. Me and I. Look, it's from Bob. From basketball, what's end of basketball? I think basketball, or as the Suns are concerned, actually got to the point where it's like, okay, we were down a little bit, but we were already really good. And now we found out a way to make our situation even better. And we continue to find ways to make our situation even better. Let's talk about these guys. Anyone remember these guys? I give you like $100. Not literally, I don't know. But like I technically I would bet $100. I mean, I probably technically speaking, if I had the money, bet like $1,000. If anyone wanted like that within the next like week of this video being up, that not a single person has this baseball that was gifted to a single person that watched this, that was gifted on the inaugural season, the very first season of the Diamondbacks, which is what I'm going to talk about for the next, give me about like 10-20 minutes or so, as I promptly open up Rocket League and start to play. And then promptly, in the live stream after I'm done talking about the Diamondbacks and the Suns, not too much time to talk about, which we already kind of did. Juan, who joined earlier, thank you, Juan, for joining in the chat. I like the ball. The ball's nice. It's really nice. I don't think I want to take it out. I legitimately do not think I want to even dare take this out of the package and just leave it in the condition that it's in. It's a really good part. It's a really good piece of Arizona memorabilia. It even says made in China. It still says made in China on the package. Watch it. It'd be hilarious if they actually took it out of the packages. Like, it's actually not in mint condition. In a box in the Here, I don't see how that would even be possible. Thinking around the slight tiny slip sitting right over here. I have so much thickness. It just like it's creates like this giant cavity and crevice of which everything just slides like across the whole entire bed. Like I'm actually like if I lean up too much, the whole entire bed will just lift up. Okay. That good? That good? Might peek there. That do good up. Diamondbacks. Take it away, Archie. Who's gonna be the hero in Diamondbacks playoffs? Who is gonna be the guy in, you're right. Correct. I mean, a pitcher, a bullpen relief pitcher, a closer, if you will. Is it a closer or like a eighth inning reliever, or the silver bullet, if you will? I don't know. Anyway, all the guys who could have hit a triple to really send the stadium into a frenzy. Somehow this has to be louder. It's possibly one of the best bobbleheads that I've ever seen. As far as the special bobbleheads that you can get. If you buy one, we'll just keep our cheers like right here. I mean, a lot of people would think, oh, it's obviously going to be Corbin Carroll. That's the guy. Like, all the fans are clamoring. They're in their seats. You know, we got goosebumps. The first time in a long time that you've been in the playoffs, and it feels so real, so alive, so energized in the building. And you just watch the team steal one of the greatest hitters of all time in that one half of a season. JD Martinez, like, absolute steal for somebody who legitimately went on one of the greatest, like stretches in all of baseball, of just how absolutely absurdly good that he was hitting. And just every single time the ball touched the bat, every single time he made contact, it just went over the fence. And he slowly trotted around the bases, and then everyone was like, "Man, this guy can kind of hit it." Huh? You know, seriously, out of all of the guys on the team, it was the reliever that stepped up and hit a triple. A triple. Pitchers don't hit triples. They don't hit the ball, period. They hit a triple. Must have been locked in, feeling good. Man, it was so nice of Archie that they just worked out. That's the real question: is, are we gonna get a guy? Are we gonna get the reliever? Are we gonna get somebody in the bullpen to be excited about? Somebody that's gonna go in there and lock in, hone in, and shut down opposing hitters and seal the deal for the Diamondback. If we can get just one guy who's actually consistent, who actually can step up to the closer spot, step up so we can rely on him, that when we have a lead, especially a tight lead, a lead within, a lead that's only like 2 or 1 to 3 runs or so, right? Here comes our guy. He used to be our guy, and then he kind of sucked for a little bit, and then he stopped being our guy, and then we had to move on. And we had to do that a lot. Where's my guy at? Look at me when I say this. I saw, the D-backs are trade. I saw on Twitter, specifically because I've been watching a lot of D-back stuff, or at least following them closely. I'm mostly just looking at the scoreboard. It's kind of hard to catch the game sometimes, it always seems like they're playing a game when I want to be doing anything else but listening to sports at all, which is odd, but I'll probably listen to more of the games. I say that baseball has a monopoly over the summer because there's no football or basketball or really anything else. It's just baseball. It's the longest season. And I think, at least I was hoping, I was hoping that, hang on, only 12 o'clock already. Should have started this a lot earlier. I was hoping that more fans were gonna show up, but I know now it sucks because of course we had to start losing. We were so good, and the bullpen finally caught up to us. But we were so good for so long, and now the fans are deterred from showing up into the stands because.
Good night.
Bye. I'm going. Because we are now not as good, and that slowly but surely is going to deter fans because we're so pessimistic out here in Arizona, because we can't just believe that this could be it, that these next 3 or 4 years they Arizona Diamondbacks could turn into something that the Suns have currently. That within the next few years, the Diamondbacks can finally have their spot at the top, not of baseball as a whole. Maybe at the top of baseball as a whole, but most importantly, they can have their spot above the Dodgers. Oh, the Dodgers. Oh, it would just be so, just like the Dodgers to make a big splash trade and get a guy and, that they can afford to get because, they're the Dodgers. And afford to pay because, they're the Dodgers. And it would be nice if people could show up to the games knowing that this team's good, darn it. Show up to the game! Show up. It's $22. I don't have 22. You know what? To be fair, a lot of us are broke. I feel like a lot of people are actually a lot more broke. There's no good movies to see. Go watch a game. Why not? It's literally something literally better to do than or at least watch it on, watch it online or listen to the game. You might be inspired, man. Some good players and some genuinely special things happening with this team, and it would suck that this slump that we're in would make it so the fans that are actually interested, that are actually at the game, that aren't just the fans of the other team showing up, that, including me, somehow do what it takes. We need people to get together and be like, you know what? I want to somehow this year, the second half of this season, this last 70 so games, 70 whatever, I don't know how many games it is now, of this season, this last half of the season has gone by a lot faster than you think it has. Because you know what? We're good. That's why it's gone by a lot faster. Because we're good. Dude, people don't realize we've lost 8 out of the last 10? But that matters, but it's not like it matters as much as it would have mattered if we were only 2 games above 500. We were 16 games above 500. We had an actual legitimate cushion to lose 8 out of the last 10. Now we have no more leeway, no more room for error, but we also have games against the Dodgers coming up. And, if we can win a couple of games against direct competition right in front of us against the Dodgers, which I see no reason why we can't win a couple of games against the Dodgers. We can win a couple of games against the Braves. We can win a couple of games against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are playing at home. They're playing at home. And I think everything will be kind of falling in place and in line for August and September to really get us going back up in the right direction. And I'm pretty darn sure that they're not idiots. Even if even if one player or 2 players, even if we're not 2 or 3 players away, or even 4 players away, there's gotta be some guys, obviously, that we have an abundance of. A trade for example, the trade that got us Gabriel Marino, which was probably one of the best trades that the Diamondbacks have done as an organization in a long time. Perhaps we have some guys that we're willing to give up in our minor league system, or technically I could say draft picks, but I don't think draft picks and draft capital means as much as it does in the NFL or first round draft picks or whatever, because those are always going to be guys that are still going to be there in like 2 or 3 years anyway, right? So, but even if we have guys that are close, even if we have guys that are deemed quote unquote untouchable or whatever, like, are they really untouchable if we need pitching now? Are they really untouchable if we need bullpen? If they're not a pitcher, and even our pitchers aren't, I mean, some of them, I think we have a couple of them are quite good, and we have some of them are still quite terrible, and are just not really hitting it, but we have kind of almost no other choice but to kind of have them in. And people forget that we're supposed to have this guy named Madison Bumgarner. I think people often forget that we're supposed to have this guy named Madison Bumgarner in the lineup, and it feels like I'd rather have Madison Bumgarner and what he was going to give to us in the lineup, because at least we've had an established veteran presence in the lineup. That is just another guy. I mean, not for the price though. I think that's the whole point. It's like we're not paying Madison Bumgarner that much money for him to go out and do what he does on the night in night out basis on each and every start that he's out there. But I'd rather have him over Fott or whoever else is in that role that Madison Bumgarner was supposed to fill. I mean, imagine how much further ahead and further along we'd be if Madison Bumgarner actually worked out and actually did quite well and pitched to his salary and earned his spot and stayed in the rotation. Like, we would still have problems in their bullpen, but I guarantee you, if a guy like Madison Bumgarner even pitched at like 80% as opposed to like, or 70% as opposed to like 25% of his capability, then maybe we could have had maybe we wouldn't even have to deal with like the losing woes that we're dealing with, and maybe we wouldn't even really need that extra hitter or that extra guy in the bullpen. Now I think there still has to be someone that can step up in the 8th and the 9th innings, especially late in the game, clutch time, big time situations, when the team's most focused on getting a hit and getting ahead. However, I don't think, because it's not like the offense has fallen off entirely, so therefore I don't think that this team is completely, totally out of it. One winning streak away, plus wins against the Giants, hopefully, and the Dodgers, hopefully. That can leapfrog us up in the standings, and all of a sudden we're in the top of the standings, and we have a 2-game lead over the competition, especially if we get wins against direct competition, which is huge and is key in these next few games against direct competition that we have coming up. Take it away, RG. You agree? Yeah. See, he agrees. He's nodding his head up and down. Is he shaking it? No. Oh. No, legit. Do a better job agreeing with me. Oh, whatever. Get over here. Go back and spend the night in the bottom. I mean, I would love you. I do, honestly. We're great. Over here. I think one of the Pauls agrees. You can't see him. I don't think even one of the Pauls agrees. So sad. Well, before we wrap up this with the show, is it a show? And then go live again talking about literally anything. Literally anything. Well, not literally anything, but we'll see. We'll see. Literally anything. Oh gosh, it's only like 12 o'clock. It's like the next day. Dude, it's the next day. What are we doing? It's Friday. It's Friday. Who cares? It's Friday. Let loose a little, live a little. It's Friday. And like I said, we're talking about good news. So it's good news the Diamondbacks are still doing good and have a cushion, and I believe that they will still have no problem making the playoffs, especially with an expanded wild card, etc., etc. Now, like, I don't even think they'll need that. Like, they're 4 games back. Well, there's still like 70 plus games. I don't know how many actually games there is, but there's still a whole lot of. But there's still like 2 solid months of baseball left to go. 2.5-ish months of baseball left to go. So there's no possible way that we're gonna be on the outside looking in and just barely scraping by. I don't think so. This offense is too good. This team, the core of this team is too good. We're starting pitching with Zach Allen, Merrill Kelly, and Ryan Nelson, and who's the other guy who's actually pretty alright. But there's only one guy who's like really ugh. Like no matter who we put there, it's just like ugh. But yeah, Ryan Nelson, Zach Allen, and Merrill Kelly, good rotation. Hitting, phenomenal. In fact, hitting could still be a little bit better, sure, but it's not like I think there's some players that are in a slump, and it just seems like a lot of players are in a slump. But I think the hitting will come back around to I think the hitting will come back around once we get back to the core of what this baseball team is about. And I think the bullpen situation is going to work itself out, because I think the bullpen situation is going to. I think the pieces are going to be moved on the board to get the bullpen situation working itself out. So I think it's anywhere up from here. Sure, there's a speed bump or two along the way. Sure, there's some trials and tribulations along the way. Sure, there's some growing pains and things like that. Like, actually take this moment and realize we're contending. So even if we're not contending for a World Series this year, we're still far better than where we were, and we should still. I'm holding out hope that we're gonna add pieces to make this team better, because if we're doing our it would be ridiculous not to add pieces to make this team better, or add pieces in the bullpen to make this team better, because we still will need pieces in the bullpen to make this team better down the road. Specifically, and I think at the deadline, when it comes to like 2 hours till, 3 hours till, whenever any of these deals are actually being made, on the day, on the hour, there's going to be a lot of breaking news from the Diamondbacks. I don't think it's going to be like big time, huge splash, like, oh wow, eye popping, crazy, wild, like there's no way that just happened type of deal, but there's going to be some deals. I think it would be ridiculous, especially considering that we have plenty of space to make some space, to possibly even create some space. Like, if we have to create some space from cutting guys in the bullpen, then we have to create space by cutting guys in the bullpen. And I've heard there's also in the playoffs there's an expanded roster that we get to look forward to, assuming we're making it, which I am full on totally still assuming that we're making it. I have no doubt in my mind that the Diamondbacks aren't making it to the playoffs this year. I have no doubt. I think that you can't just be that good for that long and even if you fall off a cliff or slow down, you could still speed back up. Trade out some parts in the car and get the work that needs to be done so it's running shipshape, so it's running like new again. Stuff like that. And that's all I need. It's all I need. Some new tires, a little oil change, maybe a couple of fresh new parts. They replace some of the old parts, and their car will be running just nice and smooth like it was before. Last thing on the agenda, before I let you go, say I love you, stuff like that. For the 5, I say 10, give me 10 people, I'm being generous, including me, that are watching this in the VOD video on the van, and I go up, I'll have to hit public right away, share it again maybe. The Suns, so I've heard in the news, so I heard through other sources, so I've heard even in our current news, saying that the Suns have been in national news and just on YouTube, trending in sports. Anyone who's talking about sports, they're talking about, in general, they're talking about the Suns and what they have seemed to do that seemingly breaks the rules that weren't set, so therefore you're not breaking the rules. You know what I mean? It's like you're not breaking the rules if the rules were subject to change but never set in place. And that's exactly what the Suns managed to do before the new rules were set in place. And that is create a super team. Which is crazy to say out loud when you're talking in context of the Phoenix Suns. Now, the Phoenix Suns have attempted to create, I guess not really a super team in the past, but they've had some serious good players on the team. And they've had some serious power and leverage getting good, ridiculously good players like Shaq and Kevin Durant. Did I mention? Is it worth mentioning that we went and got Kevin Durant? It's worth mentioning that we went and got Kevin. Like the fact that the Suns are even being projected into the ball hemisphere as a super team is going to sell so many more tickets, especially on the first couple of days. Like, we're clamoring. It's like, oh man, I thought I was excited about the Suns when we got Chris Paul, which I was. And then excited about the Suns when we were finals contenders. And we're 2 games up in the finals. And the year afterward, it was like, well, surely, I don't think it was going to be. I think we underestimated just how easy it was going to be to get to the finals again. But, you know, we've seen just how difficult it is. And we've seen that you can't keep a 3-time, should have been 4-time MVP out of the finals and away from a ring. It's surely not possible when he not single-handedly wills his team to a championship, but is a huge factor of why the Denver Nuggets are as good as they are, because there's a 3-time, should have been 4-time MVP in Nikola Jokic that finally got a ring, and I'm surprised that it was that long for them to be in a position to, but they were in a spot where they could have gotten a ring had they had that one guy. Oh, Jamal Murray. Right. Jamal Murray. People forget about Jamal Murray. Alright, as a Suns fan, I like to think that Devin Booker is fantastic, and he is. And he's pretty much the Kobe of this generation. Him and like Jason Tatum, right? You know, Jason Tatum's like the East version. Devin Booker's the West Side version, you know. We always forget about Jamal. Everyone forgot about Jamal Murray. You know, after the ACL injury, it seems like Jamal Murray, according to how the finals shaked out and how the playoffs shaked out, was just fine after an ACL injury, or not noticeably changed in his game too much to where it affected him. He's still a fantastic player. He's still an amazing, really good player. And a shooting guard, nonetheless. Someone that they really needed to elevate him to actually win a championship. I don't think the Nuggets, in fact, they literally quite had almost no chance without Jamal Murray elevating them over the top to open up all the other avenues on offense. But now it's our turn. This is a message to the rest of the NBA, where I normally have been really on it and dialed in about the Suns, and I may or may not have taken for granted how good the Suns are, and literally slept on the Suns, not known. So I literally, during points in the regular season last year, I literally slept on the Suns knowing they're fine. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's no big deal. I shouldn't even bother watching some of these games or listening to some of these games because, well, they're going to be in the playoffs. There's going to be a brand new broadcaster for the Suns. Someone who's not Al McCoy is going to be broadcasting games for the Suns. Not even talking about that possibility because, damn it, we have Kevin Durant. Dang, we have Kevin Durant. We have a new owner. We have a new GM who's a genius. We have a new owner who's a genius and actually wants and is willing to spend money and do what it takes to win no matter what. I got money on my mind and I can't give it up. Because when you spend money and you win, you make money. It's almost like if we see Arizona sports fans, our beloved Suns, if there was only one sports team, it was the Suns in Arizona, I don't think anyone would complain. No, I think people would complain. I think the Diamondbacks, since they won a championship, I think there's still a decent amount of Diamondbacks fans that if the Diamondbacks are actually quite good, provided the product worth actually watching, like they are, then you should go watch them, not at the capacity of 50,000 people, but it's nice to have a 50,000 seat stadium for something like the World Baseball Classic, because it was full then. And it was really loud too. It was really, really loud. Not the point. Alright, we passed that. Okay. Kevin Durant, and Frank Vogel, and assistants that are paid really well, and Frank Vogel also got paid really well. He recently won a championship. Yeah, he did it with like the Lakers when they were on the rise and they had LeBron James, and it was the last year of LeBron James actually being. I mean, he's still good but LeBron James isn't good, and I don't know how it's turned. Well, this turned to a talk about LeBron James because we got Frank Vogel, who was the Lakers head coach when the Lakers won their championship most recently, and he wanted to go to a head coach who had won a championship recently. I think that was really, really, really important for the Suns. Really, really, really important for the Suns. The Suns of all teams. A super team to have a super coach. A coach that's won a championship before. And if the Suns had won a championship, obviously they would have kept. I don't even know. It's kind of funny how I don't even remember his name now. It's like, damn it. How do I not remember? He's one of the greatest. He's still one of the better Suns coaches that they've ever had. I just don't know why I can't remember. I can remember the sucky ones for some reason because they talked about them recently, but I can't remember. Gosh, what is it? Monty Williams is fantastic. Turned the Suns around and made them legitimate, actual good contender. Just couldn't get over the top. And now we're looking at a coach that was over the top, that did win the championship. Right? And now we're looking at an owner that's aggressive and is willing to spend whatever extra money it takes to be in position constantly to win. and you have to spend money to win. You have to, you have to, you have to, you have to, you have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You cannot be cheap. You cannot be frugal. You cannot count your penny. You cannot, be holding on to any extra profit, because that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter when you have a sports team to try to profit on it. It's garbage. It's complete garbage. You don't want to have ow, but ow. You have somebody who's willing to pay the money to win, do what it takes to win. And you have a GM who's a freaking genius. Bradley Beal, also known as the Bradley Steel. Okay. Alright. And Washington is now slipped and fell on our Bradley Peel, okay? Or on their whatever. Sorry. And we have, did I mention we have Kevin Durant? I don't know if I mentioned that we have Kevin Durant. We got Kevin Durant. And we have Kobe, well, not really Kobe Bryant, but like I was saying to Mom earlier, because she still really cares about and watches the Suns a lot. I was saying, like, no, he's Kobe. Like, Devin Booker is like you look at Devin Booker and you immediately, instantaneously think about Kobe, and I don't think that's any mistake. I think he was, heavily, really inspired. I mean, he's a really good player and a really good person and personality to be inspired by. Anybody who's ever thinking about going to the NBA and playing on the NBA can look at Kobe and see somebody truly great and amazing in everything he did. Every aspect of his life and everything that he did it with the thought in mind that I am going to beat you. And I am going to relish the fact that I beat you. And I am going to make you wish that you could beat me. And that you will get, and that the other person, the competition, the direct competition at the time, which usually was Steve Nash, most often, at least again for a Suns fan, he had this way of making everyone who came in contact with him better. Guys that are that good have this way of making everybody who plays against them better. Just the hope that maybe they can play just as good as he did when he kicked their ass. And that's exactly the type of player that Devin Booker is. He is that guy that's so good, so damn good, that players coming into the NBA are going to look at Devin Booker and be like, that's the guy. I want to be that damn good. And I get emotional because I think it's time. This is the year. We're going to have a full year of Kevin Durant. We're going to have a full year of Bradley Beal. And it's not like, I don't know exactly. I have to go look at Bradley Beal and like stats and, watch some of his games and, and kind of see some of his highlights and see the stuff that he does and all that stuff. But from what I understand about Bradley Beal specifically, is we have all the right to be super excited about him because is he a better player than Chris Paul was in his prime? No. But he's still more than good enough to to take a contender like the Suns as the point guard and do what on a night in and night out basis what the Suns need him to do, and if all the guys that we rest and load manage or whatever, I think Bradley Beal is going to be one of those guys where it's like, if we don't really need him, why take the risk? Bradley Beal, out of all the guys, Bradley Beal is going to be one of those guys this year. It's like, because I don't know, because like we had campaign, but I don't know if we have campaign. I don't think we have campaign anymore, right? So it's gonna be a huge key piece. DeAndre Ayton is obviously gonna be a huge key piece. But what we went and did is we actually went and found a way to get somebody that might be just as good any given day as DeAndre Ayton, if not better some days, unless DeAndre Ayton hits his ceiling. And I forgot his name, but it's always nice to have a good backup center and another probably a good power forward and roll and a bunch of key bench players and a lot better bench than I think we had before. And of course, we actually hit on draft picks, I think, on our first round draft pick, or whatever draft pick that we got as well. We managed to hit on, or at least one of them, I think, which is fine because we only need like one good hit. If we can get one, like with how good we are, like if we could just get one good, seemingly shot in the dark kind of hit on a draft pick, like one really solid diamond in the rough type of player, like that would be huge, taking like steps toward like winning championships. I think it's this year. It's crazy how like we just got Kevin Durant, but he was injured, and then he was injured again. And all I was thinking, I think it's this year. I think Kevin Durant's gonna bounce back. I think he's gonna. There's gonna be a lot more games with Kevin Durant and Booker and Beal and this new team and new regime on the floor. And there's going to be games where it's literally not going to matter because it's going to be like, oh my God, they're just that good. Like, there's going to be games where there's literally nothing you can do to stop them because they're just that good. And I'm excited. And it's not even close to basketball season. I'm excited. And that's why I end off. Because I also agree that the Suns are somewhat of a super team. If I really look down in the nitty gritty and the details, I think there's a serious case that the Suns actually are a super team. One of the few super teams that were ever actually in the NBA, even. Like one of the few teams where it's like, yeah, like this could be a serious issue. like people are talking about the Suns like they could be a serious issue going forward and winning multiple championships with these. And I'm excited. Or that's the thought. At least that's what I think the thought is. Or that's the potential, especially if DeAndre Ayton can actually some way somehow be unlocked within Frank Vogel, because he specializes in centers and making centers better. It's like the ceiling for the Suns is so far in another realm. Like the overall ceiling of how good the Suns could be are so far in another ridiculous realm that it's almost uncomprehendable. Even if we get into the regular season, we're not going to really even comprehend until we get to the postseason how good the Suns can actually be. Let's be honest, like for a team that's all but guaranteed to go into the postseason, It doesn't matter what seed we're in. We're probably going to be first seed this year. We're bouncing back, like we said. Like I established. This the year. Like no, for real though. Like for, like for real though. Like for real though. Okay. Because not only do we have a better GM, but now we also have a better owner that's going to be willing to spend more money, in case we do need an extra piece to even make us even better going to the playoffs. This the year. This the year. Like that's it. That's it. Like this is the year. This is the year. And next year also could be the year. Because if there's no problem with the team this year, then why would we have any issues taking the same team next year? This year. That's it. And that's the best of all the good news, that out of all the actually good news, and there's some bad news, there always is bad news, but of all the good, there's no sports news. We have the Pac-12 in shambles. That's actually good news because that means Arizona and Arizona State could move on to the Big 12, which would be a lot better for both schools. Out of all the news, we've got good news that the Diamondbacks still have hope, and there's still only a few pieces of they're still much better than what we thought they were going to be, and there's still hope they can easily, with the wins against with games coming up against direct competition like the Giants and the Dodgers, that they can win those games and possibly get back to the top of the standings and or gain serious ground, which I think they can before they even right the ship at the deadline, they can right the ship, I think, is what I'm saying. And the Sun Devils, I think, are going to look a lot better than what people are thinking. However, that might not be, they're the best in the Pac-12, but at this point I don't care because I think we're moving to the Big 12 anyway. I think you can play the clip of the U of A ASU basketball game, the one big win, the one that mattered, the one that really ultimately mattered at the end of the day, at the end of the season. They get ASU into the March Madness tournament. 3 Arizona schools in the March Madness tournament, the first time since ever, period, in the story. First time ever that 3 Arizona schools were in the March Madness tournament. I think people tend to forget last year that 3 Arizona schools out of the 4 were in the March Madness tournament. So I think things are looking a little bit brighter for Arizona sports as a whole. The days of doom and gloom constantly looming over the horizon might be over. The days of actual championship teams and teams like the Suns inspiring teams like the Diamondbacks to do better and teams like the Cardinals to do better might be within the future. Competition inspires. Competition in capitalism, as much as people want to pretend they hate it, competition is always something that inspires other businesses to do something actually good. And that's the same thing with having 4 sports teams in Arizona. If one of them does good, they are a role model and consistently does good, like the Suns, finally. They are a role model. That carries over. The Suns are the talk of the nation, That carries over to the Diamondbacks, who not too long ago, real respects real, and Kevin Durant. Did I mention we got Kevin Durant in Arizona as a Sun? Um, the fact that Kevin Durant even interacted in any way with Corbin Carroll, like that happened, and a team, a baseball team, who is, I mean, it's the only team in Arizona that has a championship, but still, it's like real respects real. Real respects real. So when Kevin Durant, it meant something. I don't think people understand how much that meant. I need to get that picture, put that up on my wall somewhere. Kevin Durant and Corbin Carroll having their interaction, and Kevin Durant's wearing Corbin Carroll's jersey, like that. Like people don't understand how much that means. But real, serious championship, serious, like legitimate, good, great players within each sport respect the other and can see the other good, great players in other sports. So when a guy like Kevin Durant, one of the greatest in all of one of the top, like, 10 greatest in all of basketball, shows respect to Corbin Carroll and wears his jersey and shows respect to the baseball team and shows respect to like the Valley by showing up to the baseball game. Like people don't like I still don't think like that should be an advertise. Like that's what I'm trying to say is about the Suns. Is like they're a role model for other teams in Arizona, and they're like that should be an advertisement posted all over Kevin Durant from the Suns, from the peak of Arizona sports right now, and the peak of basketball. A guy from the like that's the advertisement. That's the ad that you should be putting on TV. I don't know what the ad is on TV, but specifically for the Diamondbacks, like Kevin Durant at the game in Corbin Carroll's jersey. That should tell you all you need to know about the direction that the Diamondbacks are going. Is that real respects real, and real sees real. And the best of the best in the history of the sport see and respect the best of the best in the history of the sport. I'm crying a little because for the first time in my 20 years of existence, and of course there was times when I was a kid and the Cardinals were good or the Suns were good, but I was a kid. I wasn't as connected and as invested, and I couldn't really go to the games, like actually physically show up. For the first time in so long, there's not one but two teams in Arizona that are the talk of the town and that actually matter. And once again, real respects real. There's a kid from Arizona State University. Don't know if you heard of him. but he's gonna be one of the greatest Olympic swimmers. He's gonna be the greatest Olympic swimmer of all time, surpassing Michael Phelps. He graduated from Arizona State University. I forgot his name. But Michael Phelps was there to respect him because real respects real. Because goats, greatest of all times, respect other goats. Right? Everybody who knows anything whatsoever about the Olympics knows who Michael Phelps is. And he was there to watch somebody from ASU, from the ASU swim team, shatter his record. One of his records. And that was another thing that happened. So, and it also happened recently with Drake and his concert. And he had Devin Booker on stage with him, right? He said, it's an honor for me to... He even said it's an honor for him to be standing with Devin Booker and for Devin Booker to be... Like, he was like a guest of honor at Drake's concert because real... No matter what your opinion is on Drake, people that garner respect from a lot of people understand and see and know somebody who garners respect from a lot of people. Like, they're attracted, which is why I think that like, when you see, I'm talking in the realm of Arizona sports here specifically, when you see a guy like Devin Booker getting noticed nationally and getting noticed by a guy on Twitter by Drake, you know, that by, which he was probably already noticed by Drake, you know, he's a big basketball fan, of course, you know, but, you know, like, anybody who pays attention to Arizona sports knows Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner and Steve Nash and it's like a really slowly forming list in my head, you know. Shane Doan and Luis Gonzalez and Randy Johnson and Devin Booker more recently, and Amari Stoudemire, and, you know, Buda Baker, which is the good news that he got paid, right? And, like, I can't think of, Phil Mickelson, like, all the legendary guys that are John Rahm, we're talking golf here now, all the legendary guys that are connected within Arizona's realm of sports probably all know each other in some way, or probably have all heard of one another in some way, and everybody who's connected within the realm of Arizona sports have heard of, you know, Frank Kush, you know, in some way, because all those guys uphold respect for one another, and that's across the board in every sport. Ron Wolfley, shout out to Ronald Wolfley, one of the greatest football commentators, in my opinion. Right? But one of those guys can look at each other, if they were all in one, if all the greatest sports figures from any era that are still alive could all look at each other. I think this is the point I'm trying to drive home. My last final point. It's been like 2 hours. Every single guy from every single sport, all of it, including the ones that we don't like to think actually exist, like rugby or cricket or you know the ones that are out of the realm of watching in America. All the sports legends can all be standing in the room with each other in one room in any sport from any team anywhere, and there will be this like aura. Like, seriously, think about this. And no one else could be with them. No one else with them. And there'd just be like this aura, this energy, like all these alpha males. Like, it'd be almost kind of weird to think. It's actually almost weird to think about it, or not think about it that way. But there'd just be like this distinct, like, they could all look at each other and be like, I have never seen you before once in my life, but I know that you must be damn good at whatever the that you do. Welcome to the Real Respects Real podcast. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Clayton Kershaw, Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Rashawn Rondo, Michael Jordan. I don't know why I said Rashawn Rondo. Kevin Garnett. No, Rashawn Rondo was quite good, right? Kevin Garnett, Charles Barkley, Thunder Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson, Calais Campbell. I'm gonna do that name out there, huh? Calais Campbell. Aaron Judge, Babe Ruth, Messi, Ronaldo. Just naming names, some guys. Tiger Woods. And even, Shohei, right? I said Shohei twice probably, right? And even like Corbin Carroll, Devin Booker. And there's so many more names I can't even think of. But imagine just this scenario again, if you will. And I've named some names. Kevin Durant. Did I mention Kevin Durant? And they're all standing in one place. And none of them really know each other. Oh, but they do. Oh, but they do. That's the thing. Oh, but they do. Because without even seeing them, hearing of them, knowing about them for one moment, for one instance, they can see them. And I never want to drive this point home more than I've driven it home so many times in the last 5 minutes. But they will know. Because you know when you see. Kobe Bryant. I also forgot to mention Kobe Bryant. somebody with that drive, that energy, with that mentality, that must win at all costs, the best of the best of the best, the straight up, I'm gonna be better than you, end of story, no questions, like that resolve, like you'd be able to actually feel it within the building. Like, and that's what really makes people watch sports ultimately, right? Is you can feel that feeling within the building. That's why people watch it. And that's why people should watch it. That's why people should watch the Diamondbacks and the Suns. Because on both of those teams, there's a few guys that are just that damn good that it'd be a shame if you missed out. And that's where I'm going to end off. Gotta watch some more Diamondback games. At least in the stadium. Especially for those giveaways. Some of that stuff is really good. Like, really, really nice. At the shirt shed. But don't say I didn't warn you. Don't try to be caught unaware. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that the Sun Devils were gonna be this good this year. Oh my gosh, oh you were so right. The Sun Devils were gonna be 10-2. That's crazy. Whoa, wow. Even though they're part of the problem with the Pac-12, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Am I even gonna do another live stream? I don't know. Maybe I ought to get a bottle of water. There's a lot of emotions that go through your mind when you think about what it takes to become real. And you think about possibilities of actually achieving something. That's why I get emotional. Because I may not be real, or maybe I'm not real yet, but I want to be. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. I have a good clue, but I can see. I can't be the only one. That's why I like college sports more, because I can see and be like, wow, that guy. And sometimes I'm biased, but I could see, like, wow, like especially in the March Madness tournament, they'd be like, oh, like, and now that guy's special. Maybe it'd be a good scout. I think I ought to be. I think if I had the job, the pay grade to be a good scout, like a legitimately like an NFL scout or an NBA scout. I think I'd much rather be an NBA scout. No, if you could somehow get the gig to be both, you know. And I think a lot of people who watch sports have not the slightest clue, not the slightest clue sometimes of like who's that guy, you know, without him actually doing anything, like really doing anything in the game. But that's the mind. That's what it takes. It takes someone who's gonna be invested to figure out every little detail about someone, to figure out the little details that a lot of people miss about someone's game, to realize this guy is different and better than everyone else. And it's usually never cut and dry. Sometimes it's cut and dry. Victor Wembanyama, right? Sometimes it's cut and dry. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Sometimes it's really cut and dry, and teams are in the position to get the guy where it's so clear and obvious that you would have to be, that it hits you like a brick. But sometimes it takes somebody to understand that there's somebody real there. And there's somebody legit. That's somebody that's the truth. There's somebody within all that stuff that they possibly got going on. And they could see past it and be like, no, there's serious potential here. And it'd be a shame if someone missed out on that. Ain't that right, Arizona Cardinals and Hassan Reddick? But real always respects real. So, my greatest advice to anyone who wants to be a scout, or anyone who wants to be anybody in the world of sports whose opinion matters, and maybe it's the greatest advice to myself 5 years, 10 years in the future. Always look toward whatever sport you're watching. Look to where one of the greater, actually good players, look to what they're saying about the person that you think is actually good, because if they think that that player is gonna be good, let me tell you something, they're gonna be good. More likely than not, they're gonna be good. And I think that's a huge reason as to why teams of good players, legitimately great players, can sustain being good through the draft. Because they'll go find their good player. Their Tom Brady. Ain't that right, Tom Brady? He'll look at a player, and then Bill Belichick will look at him, and then Tom will look at a player, and it's really just Bill Belichick, right? For all those years, right? It really was just Bill Belichick and Tom, probably, in the off. There was no one else. Like the general manager kind of had a say, but it was really Bill Belichick, because they were that damn good. That when they had what they had going was that damn good, that they can go and find the exact guy and point him out and say, you are gonna be on my team because you're real, or you're what we need, in other words. Right? Am I right? And that's how they, like, of course this sustained how good they were because they had Tom Brady, and of course this sustained how good they were because of Bill Belichick and, like, all that stuff. But when it comes to draft night, when it comes to holes that they needed to fill, any of the holes that they needed to fill, which are not very many, because you're the Patriots and you win 7 Super Bowls. But you can go, but they have not 1, but 2, maybe even 3 guys I can point out and see a guy and be like, yeah, that's the guy. That's what we need. Constantly have somebody who can see that. So to anyone who does any betting, you might want to look at the guys who are getting pointed out by someone who's actually good and notable. Getting called out by someone who's actually good and notable because they kind of know what's going on and they've been around the block. So that's all I'll say. Finish off our talk about sports and hopefully the slight, steady increase in interest of Arizona sports overall throughout the state of Arizona itself, and neutral parties and who don't have a lot of sports to look forward to. Hopefully our sports teams will be more interesting in the future. And I think I see a future where our sports teams just might be more interesting. So, sign